All right. So on this one right here, guys, we're looking at a system of inequality. First and foremost, let me give you some basic information about graphing systems of inequalities. When you're graphing systems of inequalities, you're essentially graphing two or more linear inequalities on the same XY plane. And your goal is to find the region where you would find all the points that would make both inequalities true. So here's some basic information about graphing inequalities, guys. When you're graphing inequalities, listen to this. If you look at your inequality symbol, guys, it's greater than, less than. When you graph the boundary line, you're going to draw a dash boundary line or a broken boundary line. However, if your inequality symbol is greater than or less than, or greater or equal to, less than or equal to, you want to draw a solid boundary line. Now, one of the things I like to tell my students is this, guys, okay? Find the easiest components that you can, and then use process of elimination when you're dealing with a multiple choice type of problem, okay? Find out which one of the answer choices you can eliminate so you have less to choose from, okay? Now, let me give you some additional information, guys. When you're graphing, if your slope is positive, remember, if your equation is in the form of y equal mx plus b, like so, okay? And you have a positive slope, okay? A positive slope rises to the right. However, when you have a negative slope going from left to right falls to the right, okay? So the first thing I would do with these problems, guys, it is to look at the slopes. Notice one of them is positive, one of them is negative, okay? Because one of them is falling to the right, the other one is rising to the right. And if you're looking at the answer choices, guys, basically we have one of each. So that's not going to help us to eliminate the answer choices, okay? That is not going to help at all. All right. Now, guys, here's the next part, okay? If we're looking at these graphs right here, the two lines, okay? We have one that has a y-intercept at, it looks like -3, okay? And the other one has a y-intercept where the graph is touching the y-axis at +2, right there, guys, okay? So we need to start looking at the answer choices and see if anything else is going to help us, okay? The one that's falling to the right, guys, obviously it has a negative slope. That's this one right here, guys. This one has a negative slope, okay? That's a negative slope graph. So let's look at the negative equation, the one with the negative inequality, the negative slope inequality. So look at letter A, guys. The negative slope inequality is -1/3, and yes, the y-intercept is 2. Same thing with B, same thing with C. Oh my God, there's no distinction between them, guys. Okay, so now here's the next thing we're going to do, guys, okay? We're going to graph, all right? Now, when we're graphing these guys, remember, okay, solid line, okay, solid line, if the inequality symbol is greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So this graph right here, guys, that's a solid line, and it's a negative slope. So let's start looking at the answer choices. Letter A, solid line, negative slope. So that could be the answer. Letter B, that cannot be the answer, guys, because it's greater than. So this right here on the negative slope graph, because it's just greater than, it cannot be this one, because when it's greater than, you have to draw a dash boundary line. So it can't be letter B, guys. Look at letter C. Can it be letter C? Absolutely. Because the second inequality, guys, is less than or equal to, and that's a solid boundary line, okay? And then letter D, guys, look at letter D. For the negative slope inequality, it's less than, so it cannot be letter D either, guys. So get rid of letter D. There goes letter D. So now, guys, what did I just do? I eliminated 2 answer choices. So now I have 2 of them left. So what is that doing for me? It's increasing my chances of getting this problem right to 50%. Pay attention, guys. This is what I call test-taking strategies, okay? I didn't mean to erase the entire thing. You know what? Let me bring it back. Let's undo that. Can I undo it? Oh yeah, there we go. I didn't mean to erase all of that. I just wanted to erase this part right here. Okay, guys. So now we got to decide, guys, which one of these is going to be the correct answer. All right. So here's the next part about graphing inequalities, guys. Listen to this part, guys, okay? If your y variable, let me use a different color here. If your y variable, guys, is positive and it's greater than, you're going to shade above the boundary line. However, if your y variable is positive, it's less than or equal to, you shade below the boundary line. Okay, guys, so we're gonna go back to this line again, the one with the negative slope, okay? Now, this is shading above the line. So because it's shading above the line, guys, we want the one that says that y is going to be greater than or equal to, and then the negative slope. So look at letter A and letter C, guys. I narrowed it down to two choices for you. Which one is the correct answer? Letter A or letter C? Talk to me about that. Letter A or letter C? Type it in the chat for me, guys. A or C? Basically, I just gave you the answer. So everybody should be able to give me the correct answer for this one. Come on, guys, drop it in the chat. Mimi gave me an answer. JD gave me an answer. What about the rest of you guys? Come on, guys, give me an answer. Come on, guys, you got to participate.
I can't find can't find the chat thing right now.
Oh, it's at the bottom of the screen. If you go towards the bottom, you will see
there it is.
Chat. Okay.
All right. Sorry, it's kind of fine. Okay. It's this.
That's
okay. Like either they updated it or I didn't know, or I didn't notice that was down there.
That's okay. All right. Guys, remember, I like participation, so make sure you participate. And yes, guys, the answer is A. So now some of you may be asking, well, how are you getting A? First and foremost, guys, that equation, the one with the negative slope, okay? If you look at it, it's y is greater than or equal to. I just told you if y is greater than or equal to, you're going to shade above the boundary line. So all of this would be above the boundary line, okay? Now, when y is less than, okay, like the first inequality, for the other inequality, guys, when y is less than, listen to this, guys, you're going to shade below the boundary line, below the boundary line. And what are they looking for in these problems, guys? They're looking for the overlap area. Where does the shading overlap? And the shading is overlapping where? It is overlapping right here, guys, in this region. That's what they were showing you right there. This region right here is where you will find every single point that will make both inequalities true. Now, guys, listen and listen well. If you get a problem like this and you have no clue how to do it, okay? You have no clue how to do it. Just go in this region right here, guys. Pick a point. It doesn't matter what the point is. Pick a point, any point in that gray area, okay? And then take that point and plug it in. By the way, it's easier to use one of the points on the x-axis. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab one on the x-axis. On the x-axis, I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, guys. 7, 0. And this is what I'm gonna do, guys, okay? Listen to me. This is x, this is y. So I'm gonna start plugging these in to each one of these equations one at a time. So if I go to letter A, I'm gonna plug in 7 for x, 0 for y. So I get 0 is less than 2 times 7 minus 3. And this one checks out. So since the first one checks out, I'm gonna go to the second one. I'm gonna plug in 0 for y, okay? Set it greater than or equal to negative 1/3 times 7, and then plus 2. A third of 7, guys, is going to be a negative 2.3, and then plus 2. So this is going to be greater than negative 0.3. So this one checks out too. You see how that point made both inequalities true? That's my answer. Okay. Now, well, Miss Alcier, how do you know, okay, if it's the right answer or if it's the wrong answer? Well, first of all, I just told you that point that I selected in the gray region, it made both inequalities true. So guys, let's try it on a different letter, okay? Let's try it with letter B. Is it gonna make both inequalities true? Well, I mean, we did this one right here, guys. It looks very similar to this one, so we don't have to check it here. Let's check it with the second one, guys. Let's check it with the second one, okay? Let me see. Is it going to make it true as well? I think so. I think it's going to make it true. Let me see. 0 is less than or equal to 2 times 7 minus 3. Yeah, I think it does make it true too. So guys, listen, you have to make sure you pick the one that has all the points on it. So essentially for these problems, Marsha, you have to know some of the things that you're doing in here. You have to know some of the things that you're doing. And let me tell you some of the things that will help you to differentiate which equation to go with. Again, greater than, less than, dash boundary line. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, solid boundary line. That's basic information. You should know that, okay? That's easy. When you're shading these, if your y variable is positive, it's greater than, shade above the line, okay? So this would be above the line. Now, if it was on the other equation and they said to go ahead and shade above the line would be this way right here, okay? Now, additionally, if y is less than, hold on a second. Oh, I went too far, guys. Okay. Oops. Yowzers. Okay. You shade above. Okay. Well, no. Wow. Okay. I'm going too far. Okay. There we go, guys. You shade above. And then if y is less than, you shade below. Okay. So I think if you know just this basic fact, you should be able to pick out the correct answer. The other thing that might actually help, just in case you guys forgot, positive slope graph rises to the right. Negative slope graph falls to the right, okay? So guys, you should know these basics about the inequality graphs, okay? So I'm gonna pause here and ask you, Mersha, does that clarify some things for you? You there, Mersha?
I understand. The only thing that will concern me is the shading, because I feel like I'll forget it, but if I just continue looking over it.
I'm gonna show you another way you can shade as well, okay? I'm gonna show you another way. This is another inequality graph. I skipped over one of them right here. Which quadrant will be completely shaded by the graph of inequality y? Okay, let's do number 2. Okay, number 2 right here, y is less than 3x, okay? Now, guys, is the slope positive or negative on this one? Is this slope going to be positive or is it negative?
It's going to be positive, correct?
Positive, yep. It's a positive 3. This is your slope right there, guys. So basically, for this one right here, guys, the question is, which one of these quadrants will be completely shaded in when you graph this one? Now, just to recap on the quadrants, guys, okay? The quadrants, they start over here in the top right, okay? And then they go counterclockwise. Why isn't this thing writing? Hold on a second, let me see if it's gonna write now. Okay, there we go. That's quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4 is right here, okay? Those are your quadrants, okay? This is a positive slope graph, guys. So when you graph it, the graph is going to rise to the right there, okay? Just like that. So now, guys, that you know all of that, okay, let's try and graph this and see which one of the quadrants is completely filled in for this particular problem. Guys, the slope is 3. By the way, if you're having a hard time graphing this, you can change it into an equation, guys, and then use a table to help you graph this, okay? When you're graphing with the table, pick a few values for x, plug them into the equation, find the corresponding Y value and graph the problem. For example, guys, if I go in here and I substitute 1 in for X, I get 3 right back. If I plug in, let's say -1, I get 3 right back. If I plug in 0, what do I get? I get 0, guys. So there's 3 really good points on the graph. So I've got 3 points. One of them is right here at the origin. The next one is at 1, 3. And then the third one is at -1, 3, which is down here. Now, guys, next question for you. Is the boundary line going to be dash or is it going to be solid? Dash or solid? I just explained it to you guys how you know whether it's going to be dash or solid. Is it dash or is it solid? Come on. Oh, guys, come on. You should know that. Is the boundary line going to be a solid line or is it going to be a dash line? Yes, Mimi, it is going to be a dash line, okay? So on this one, guys, because of the inequality symbol, it's going to be a dash boundary line. So the boundary line looks something like this. By the way, I forgot to mention the slope, guys. The slope is 3. When you're graphing with slope, remember slope is the rise over the run. So your slope would be 3/1. So that's saying to travel 1 unit up and move to the right 1 and then plot your second point. But you need a Y-intercept. What is your Y-intercept, guys? Your Y-intercept is 0, 0. Why is it 0, 0? Why is it the origin, guys? How do you find the Y-intercept? You plug in 0 for X and solve for Y. Now, just to recap, guys, when your equation is in Y equal mx plus b, okay? Mx is your slope. So if you wanted to find your Y-intercept, you would go ahead and basically eliminate this part out, and that would give you a Y-intercept. Y is equal to whatever the b value is. Well, this inequality doesn't have a b value. So if it doesn't have anything, what can you fill in there for it? 0. All right. So now, guys, let's do the shading. Here's your question, guys. Are we going to shade above the line or are we going to shade below the line? By the way, above the line would be this region right here, this side. And then below the line would be this side. So which one are we going to shade, guys? Based on what I told you earlier, are we going to shade above or are we going to shade below? You guys tell me. I'm waiting, guys. Come on, drop it in the chat. You guys should know that based on what we talked about. Are we going to shade above or are we going to shade below the line, guys? That's the question. Above or below? Let me see here what you guys said in the chat. Okay, Dash, Mimi said above. I'm leaving my house with my mom. Will you post a screen recording? Absolutely. Alicia says above. Okay. So let's chat, guys. Let's chat. Let's chat. Because 2 of you gave me above. All right. Bye, Cece. All right, guys. So let's look. You ready? Okay. Guys, listen to this. Look at your Y variable. Look at your Y variable. If your Y variable, guys, is positive, okay? It's positive, okay? And right now it is. Based on that inequality, guys, your Y variable is positive. And it's less than. That's telling you to shade below the line, guys, okay? Now, if your Y variable is positive and it's greater than, that's telling you to shade above. Look at the inequality symbol, guys. That's your inequality symbol right there. It's less than. So you're gonna have to shade below. Now, Mimi, here's another way you can check these, okay? To see which side to shade. Okay, so here it is, Mimi. Here's another way for you to decide if you're confused by this, okay? What you do, Mimi, pick a point. Any point on the XY plane, as long as it's not on that boundary line you graph. The best point to choose, Mimi, is 0, 0. However, the problem is the graph actually went through 0, 0. So we cannot use 0, 0. So the next best point to select to use is 1, 1. And 1, 1, guys, is right there, okay? So now, Mimi, we're going to take that 1, 1, go back into the inequality and plug it in. So if I go into the inequality and I plug in 1 for y, I plug in 1 for x, okay? Look at what I get. I get 1 is less than 3. Is 1 less than 3? Yes or no, guys? Yes or no? Is 1 less than 3? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just help you out, okay? So I selected the point from here, guys. I plugged it into my inequality. And when I plug it into my inequality, it makes my inequality true. Since the point was selected from here, it made the inequality true. Then that means that every point over here will make the inequality true. So this is why I shade this side right here, okay? Now, what if it made the inequality false? If it made this one false, then that would mean the opposite side would be true. You see what I'm saying? If it made this side false, the opposite side, guys, would be true, okay? So, Mimi, does that make sense? Does that sit with you better than the first way I showed you, where you pick a point, plug it into the inequality and see if it makes the inequality true? If it makes the inequality true, shade the side containing the point. If it makes the inequality false, shade the opposite side. Does that make more sense to you?
Yeah, it does. So if it is below and we choose like with the negative y-intercept with the x positive ones on the fourth quadrant, wouldn't the answer be the fourth quadrant?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. Completely filled in would be the fourth quadrant. Yes, absolutely.
So I can just pick, so to make sure for myself, I choose points on the fourth quadrant to see if it's true. Because
Yes, you can choose points in the fourth quadrant. Absolutely. However, you still need to know what's going on because there are points in the first quadrant too that will make it true. So when they say which quadrant is going to be completely filled in, that means that every single point, whatever point you select in the fourth quadrant, will always make the inequality true. So on this one right here, listen, in the fourth quadrant, the x value is positive, the y value is negative. So any point that you choose in the fourth quadrant will always make that inequality true. However, in the first quadrant, there are some points that will make it true. But if you can go ahead and be precise about it, that will help you to determine if it's the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant. So you still need to know something about the graphing, okay? And I am so glad you went back to the question because I completely forgot about the question. And the question was, guys, which part is going to be completely shaded in? That would be quadrant 4, okay? Yeah, I'm glad you went back to the question. So guys, you notice how on this problem right here, they're not asking you to just simply graph the problem. They want you to think critically through the questions. This is very similar to what the SAT, the PSAT is all about, guys. They want you to think critically through these problems. All right, everybody. So here comes the next one, okay? Apparently, we're just doing inequalities today. But this is a good review, though. This is a good review. Okay, guys. So look at, hold on a second, guys. This thing has a mind of its own. Okay, there we go. Number 3, guys. Which is a graph of the solution set of the inequality 3x minus 4y less than or equal to 4? All right, guys. So, sugar plums, listen, we need to eliminate some of these answer choices. That's the first thing we need to do. Because some of these answer choices just don't make sense. They just cannot be the correct answers, okay? So guys, let's see. How do we go about eliminating some of these answer choices? The first thing we should do, guys, let me see if I could zoom in a little bit more on this. Because some of this I'm having a hard time reading in. Is it allowing me to zoom in? Oh, it's coming. Hold on, guys. It's going to be slow. Ah, there it is. Okay. So, guys, look at the inequality. it is 3x minus 4y less than or equal to 24. So that less than or equal to, guys, tells us it's going to be a solid boundary line, and all the graphs are solid boundary lines. So that's not going to help us to eliminate one of the answer choices, okay? So here's what's actually going to help us, guys. Pay attention, everybody. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take this inequality and rewrite it as an equation, guys, so I can figure out my x-intercept and my y-intercept. The x-intercept is where the graph intersects the x-axis, and the y-intercept is where the graph intersects the y-axis. Now, when you're finding the x-intercept, guys, you just go into the equation, you plug in 0 for y. And then, guys, when you're finding your y-intercept, you go in, you plug in 0 for x and solve for y. Sugar plums, look up. Look at what's going to happen. I want you to look. I want to find the x-intercept first. If I plug in 0 in for y, guys, this term will cancel out completely. This term right here will disappear, guys. Right here, this term will disappear. So you see how I have 3x equals to 24 left over? I'm going to have to solve this. So the question is, 3 times what gives me 24? Or if I divide both sides by 3, what do I end up with? X equals to 8. So essentially, guys, my x-intercept is going to be at positive 8. My x-intercept is at positive 8. Now notice all the graphs have an x-intercept at positive 8. That's not helping me. So now, guys, let's go ahead and do the y-intercept. Let's find the y-intercept next, okay? Now, when you're finding the y-intercept, this time, you're going to go ahead and plug in 0 for x, okay? So if we plug in 0 for x, guys, basically, this term cancels out completely, okay? And we are left with negative 4y equals to 24. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Pay attention, guys. So we get y is equal to negative 6. In other words, guys, this graph is going to intersect the y-axis at 0, negative 6. So now, guys, I know that I can actually eliminate 2 of the answer choices, okay? You guys drop it in the chat. Which 2 can I eliminate? Because my y-intercept for the actual inequality is 0, negative 6. Which 2 cannot be the correct answer? Which 2 can I eliminate? Ooh, look at you guys jump on that one. Awesome. Let me see what you guys are putting in this chat here. Okay. All right. Let's see. A and C, C and D. Okay. Elisha, the y-intercept is negative 6. Okay. So since the y-intercept is negative 6, okay, you want the graphs that have a y-intercept at negative 6. So if it doesn't have a y-intercept at negative 6, it cannot be the correct answer. So there goes letter A, okay, because the intercept is at positive 6. Also, there goes letter D, because the y-intercept is at positive 6. So A and D cannot be the correct answers. All right. So now, guys, I've narrowed my choices down to 2. Okay, so now time for me to go ahead and figure out which one is the correct answer. I know it's not this one, it's not this one. So now, guys, here's where you're going to test this to figure out which region has the correct set of points that will make this problem true, okay? So, Mimi, remember how earlier I was telling you the best point to test with is 0, 0, okay? The 0, 0 is the origin, okay? So I'm going to go into my inequality. I'm going to plug in 0 for x, 0 for y, and I'm going to work it out. When I multiply by 0, I get 0, so all of this cancels out to 0. Is 0 less than 24? Yeah, okay? So since I selected 0, 0, and I plugged it in, it made the problem true. That means the side that has 0, 0, the side where the origin is shaded in is the correct answer. So guys, which one is the correct answer? Which letter is the correct answer? Let me see here. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. I hear you. Yeah, guys, drop the answer for me. Which one's the correct answer? Yes. Okay. Mimi, I see you. Brendan, I see you. Okay, very good. Yes, guys, the answer is C. Because 0, 0 is right here, guys, and 0, 0 makes the problem true. So you want to shade the side that makes the problem true. Very good. All right. Math is about flexibility and versatility, guys, okay? So you have to be versatile with the methods that you use to find these answers. All right, I'm gonna pause here. Any questions, guys? Anything you want me to clarify for you? I was gonna ask you guys, give me a thumbs up if you're feeling a little bit more comfortable with this. Can you guys find the thumbs up? You know why I'm laughing? Because guys, listen to this, okay? So in March last year, a year ago, when we went on virtual school, okay, I started using Zoom right away. And Zoom wasn't ready for the platform to be used by educators. So basically, the CEO of this mega billion-dollar company, guys, would have these meetings every Wednesday for anybody who wanted to come in and chat with him and his team. So one afternoon, I decided to go in, guys, and I asked the kids, I asked my students, you know, who was on Zoom with me, what would you like to see change in Zoom? And they're like, you know what, we want better emoticons, okay? We want more emoticons to work with. So guys, I went in that meeting and I asked the CEO, this was my question. At the time, guys, it was like thumbs up, thumbs down. That was it last year. So I asked the CEO, can you please, okay, give us more optionality with the emoticons? Can you change the options with the emoticons? He's like, listen, my number one concern right now is security, making sure the platform is secure. I'm not worried about the emoticons. But guys, later on, after they took care of all the security issues, they went in and changed the emoticons. That's why you guys have these different emoticons. You have the smiley face, you have the sad face now, you have this, I don't even remember what else you have on there. But now you can use different emoticons. And one of them, the original one, is the thumbs up to show that you're okay. So guys, give me a thumbs up. Can you find it at the bottom? Do you guys see the emoticons? No, you guys can't see them? I think if you click on your name, you should be able to see them. No? All right. That's okay if you can't see them. We'll practice with it another day. Anyways, guys, here's another problem, number 4 here. Let's look at number 4, guys. And I think I'm going to make number 4 the last one because that was a lot. Did I lose you guys or something? Are you guys still there? Can you guys hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So now let's go ahead and analyze this one, guys. Let's analyze this one to see what's going on. Okay. Ooh, what you guys dropping in the chat here? Okay, thank you. All right, guys. So let's see. Now, sugar plums on this one right here, we have some work to do on this problem right here, okay? Couple of things, guys. I am looking at these two inequalities and I am trying to figure out what is the best way to go about getting you guys to figure out the answer without having to go the long way, okay? So guys, let's go ahead and use the second inequality. And let's see if we can narrow down some of the answer choices. Because the second inequality, guys, is very similar to the previous one we did, okay? So guys, this is the second inequality, all right? So now I want you guys, I hope you guys were paying attention. I want you guys to tell me what is the X-intercept for this one? What's the X-intercept for this one, guys? Drop it in the chat. What's the X-intercept? Actually, you know what? I'm looking at these answer choices, guys. They're all the same thing. The X-intercepts are all the same. and the y-intercepts are all the same. Very good, Sugar Plum. Very good. The x-intercept is, oh, no, Sugar Plum, you gave me the wrong one, okay? You gave me the wrong one, okay? So if I'm looking for x, this is how it goes, okay? If I'm looking for x, this is how it goes, sweetie pie. You plug in 0 for y. That's like saying this term doesn't exist. What do you have left over? 2x equals to 10. 2 times what gives you 10? That'll be 5. So your x-intercept is actually 5, 0, okay? If the x-intercept is 5, 0, guys, what's the y-intercept on this one? You guys tell me the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? Come on, guys. Let me see. Oh, what'd you put in the chat? Let me see what you put in the chat over here. 0.2. Yes, you're right. I have to go get my mom from work. Have a great day. Okay, Sugar Plum. Bye, JD. Okay. Yes, guys. Yes. The x-intercept, the y-intercept is 2, -2. Okay, -2. So your y-intercept is -2. X-intercept is +5, guys. So now let's go ahead and test this out. Let's plug in 0, 0 and see what happens, guys. Does it make the problem true or does it make the problem false? Okay. So we're going to plug in 0 for x, 0 for y. And what does that do to the problem? Let's see. We get 0 is less than or equal to 10. So guys, that means that the region containing the 0, 0, guys, should be shaded in. So guys, listen, the line that is the one that we're talking about right here, that inequality that we're talking about is right there. So guys, essentially, we have to shade it above. Since we're shading above, it cannot be this one. We're shading above, it cannot be this one. We have to shade the side containing the 0. So the answer is either going to be A or it's going to be B. All right. So now, guys, that you've narrowed it down to 2 answer choices, then you can make a decision about which one is the correct answer. So now, guys, let's look, okay? All right, so guys, let's look. Either A or B is going to be the correct answer. Now, guys, I want you to look at the first inequality. For the first inequality, guys, let us look. Let's plug in that 0, 0 into the first inequality. Let's see what happens when we plug in 0, 0 into the first inequality. So when we plug in 0, 0 into the first inequality, guys, is, okay, why isn't it writing? There we go. 2x is greater than or equal to y minus 1. I'm almost done, guys, okay? You plug in 0 for x, 0 for y, and we're going to work it out. So we get 0 is greater than or equal to -1. Is 0 greater than or equal to -1? Yes, that is absolutely true, guys. So for the first inequality, this is the line for the first inequality right there, guys. This is the boundary line for the first inequality. Since 0, 0 makes that problem true, we want to shade the side that contains the 0, 0, and the side that contains the 0, 0 for the second inequality is right there, guys. You see that? So essentially, guys, this is the correct route. Guys, this test is about using good old-fashioned common sense and critical thinking skills to get through them. So if you're really good at the thinking skills, good old-fashioned common sense, guys, you're going to be just fine. All we did here, guys, without doing a whole bunch of work, is to go ahead and use passive elimination to get rid of some of these answer choices, okay? And then select from the correct answer. Guys, I hope this clarified some things for you and you're feeling a little bit better with the inequalities. So as you go forward and get ready for the test, I think you guys will be okay with the inequalities. You just need to know some basics about the inequality. If you know the basics about these inequalities, guys, you're going to be just fine. Seriously, you're going to be just fine. So I'm pausing here. I'm going to Mimi first. Mimi,